So welcome to space. What we have in space is quite a lot of stuff. I mean, we have everything, but I'd like to just talk about a few things. So first of all, what I have over here is some kind of star, perhaps like our sun. Now we can know what that is, and there's actually a load of videos that talk about the whole life cycle of this. But basically, stars don't just exist on their own, they often exist in pairs as binary stars, and also they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I guess the shapes are all circular, but they come in different sizes and different colours. However, what we have around some of these stars we have planets. Now, a planet is basically something where no nuclear fusion occurs, like we have inside this, and also their mass is big enough to actually cause them to have this kind of spherical shape. So basically here we have a planet. But there are other things that we find in space as well. This thing over here, it's quite small, I can hardly move it, is a planetary satellite. Now, satellites are things, not just like, I guess, the artificial satellites that orbit around the Earth, but satellites include things like the moons. Now, things like the Earth only maybe have one, but other planets like Jupiter have many of these moons themselves. So these things here, they orbit the planets and the planets orbit the sun. But we also have other things that orbit stars as well. And this thing here, this kind of irregular shaped thing, is a ball of sort of dust and ice and sort of gases like that. And this is a comet. Now, a comet, it will still orbit the sun, but then it has basically an incredibly elliptical kind of radius. And it will kind of have this kind of regular orbit, but it kind of doesn't spend a lot of time, I guess, like a planet moving around in an almost kind of circular orbit. So we have stars, we have planets, we have satellite or planetary satellites, and we have comets. And they're the main things that we need to know about within this kind of system here. And this system, where you have planets orbiting the sun, is called a solar system. But there's more than just one star in space. And basically, if we kind of keep zooming out and zooming out, what we see eventually, as we keep zooming out and zooming out, is we see a huge number of different stars. Now, the thing is, if you have a load of stars together, this is what we call a galaxy. And most galaxies have on average about 100 billion stars. I didn't quite have enough Lego, but you kind of get the idea. And the thing is, there's about 100 billion galaxies. So in the whole universe, there's a huge amount of stuff. Now, there's basically two main kind of sort of shapes of galaxy. We have ones which are kind of sort of basically like the kind of sort of big kind of globular sort of spherical thing. So we have galaxies that are basically just a big clump of stuff together. But the other kind, and the kind that we're in at the moment in the Milky Way, is a spiral galaxy. And a spiral galaxy looks a bit like this. You have maybe the sort of the central mass, and often it's orbiting something maybe like a supermassive black hole. And then you have these sort of long arms, sort of kind of long spiral arms. So this is kind of like a top-down view of our Milky Way. And if we look at it from the side, what we see is this kind of disk over here, there's kind of a central bulge. And, the distance from one side of our galaxy to the other is about 100,000 light years. So these things are very, very big. And the thing is, there's so many of them, and if we look at basically everything, this then makes up the universe. So the universe includes all of these stars, all of the planets, all of the kind of stuff in the middle, as well as all the kind of radiation, and it's just basically everything. So that's kind of the start of what you need to know about space.